and look at this Torah. And I have to, this is some cuckoo stuff going on this week. It's a double portion, Behar-Bechukotai. It's a double, hi Ellen. It's a double portion. And I'm gonna share with you something that one of my bat mitzvah students said about this portion, since she is Shalom Penina, since she had to write about this portion, and she was just like, "What? Everybody complains about getting the Tazria Matzora, you know, the one with all the leprosy and the skin diseases when they first get it, you know, assigned to them for their bar mitzvah. They're like, oh, but that's a real rich one, really like flavorful." Maybe I shouldn't use flavorful when we're talking about like leprosy and skin diseases, but it's a good, like there's a lot to write about. But this one, my goodness, this is intense over here today, a little bit later on, and you'll see what I mean. Hi, Jeff, good to see you. All right, so why don't we jump in with a little blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, that we should get busy and soak ourselves in Torah. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to now share my screen. So we're going to take a look at what's for lunch, Jeff? Where's my share the screen button?
Little rice and chicken.
Oh, rice and chicken. Okay, fabulous. No, not this one. Not this one. No, Jose. No. No. Oh, I see what's up. Sorry, everybody. Get ready. Ine. Matzati. All right, here we go. Behar-Bechukotai. All right. This first section that we're going to talk about is going to talk about the sabbatical year, right? The sabbatical year for the land, and the Jubilee year, right? The sabbatical year and the Jubilee. And this, I found something very interesting. So where are we? Where are these laws supposed to take place when we go into where? The promised land. Also often known as what? The Jewish homeland, right? The Jewish homeland. But it's very interesting over here. It says, like, is the Jewish homeland really our home? What makes a home a home? Do we, as renters, is it still our home? Yeah. As owners of a property, is it still our home? Yeah. Does one feel more permanent than the other? Maybe. Though I do know some people who have like rented long term, like, you know, in these amazing, crazy 2-bedroom rent-controlled apartments in Manhattan that, you know, people are paying still $250 a month, and it's like 4,000 square feet overlooking the park, you know, on Central Park West or something like that. So that's a home, and you're not giving that up, because if you did, that would, you know, be ridiculous. But that being said, I found this section very interesting. So I'm just going to read a bit. There's going to be a lot of me reading like good chunks. Speaking of good chunks, Jeff, what are you doing? Mute yourself if you're going to do that.
I thought I apologize, Rabbi. My God, I love getting picked on.
Oh, God forbid. You know, it's all done out of love. Here we go. So check this out. The Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you enter the land that I assign to you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of the Lord. 6 years you may sow your field, and 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather in the field. But in the 7th year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, a Sabbath of the Lord. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap the aftergrowth of your harvest or gather the grapes of your untrimmed vines, it shall be a year of complete rest for the land. But you may eat whatever the land during its Sabbath will produce. Your male and your female slaves, the hired and bound laborers who live with you, and your cattle and the beasts in your land may eat this yield. You shall count off 7 weeks of year, 7 times 7 years, so that the period of 7 weeks of years gives you a total of 49. Okay, get ready for this. So let's just say, what are we talking about here? What's happening? Who can just kind of sum it all up for us? What's happening right here? It's a big chunk.
It's the Omer for the land.
Okay. So it is the close. Yes, it's the counting of the Omer, right? Of the land, 7 weeks. So we're talking about, really what they're talking about though is 49 years, right? So the Omer, if we're getting that, since we're counting it, that is the time in between leaving Egypt and getting the Torah on Mount Sinai. And Omer is, this is a little tangent, the Omer is a measurement of wheat, right? What are we measuring these wheat? It's going to be the measurement of what the offerings, right? The wheat offerings and those kind of things. And then we have Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, which is something separate. But anyway, sorry. We're talking about Shabbat, right? And Shabbat is not just a human thing. Shabbat is supposed to be also for the land, like literally, because what happens if you just use the same piece of land over and over and over and over and over again? It dies, right? Literally had no nutrients. It's just, sorry, Merle, was that what you were going to say?
Well, I was going to say that, but I go to this farm every Friday morning, and the owners of the farm are very good friends of ours over the years. And they close the farm from the end of June to the beginning of August so that they can clean out the farm, replant, and then he gives all of his farmers that work for him a month to 6 weeks off.
Okay, a month to 6 weeks off, but oh, this is interesting. A month to 6 weeks off, but does he pay them?
Yes.
Okay, because now we're getting somewhere.
He pays them, and they get to, because that part of the farm is a restaurant where they use all of their food from the farm that can't be sold, like ugly tomatoes and stuff like that. They give them whatever produce is left to take home to their families, so that they have that produce until they come back and everything starts growing again.
Wow, this is very biblical of them. Very biblical, right? Because he even talks about, so in a sense, even though we're not working the land, they're able to still reap the benefits of the land. They don't necessarily go out and prune and sow the fields and everything like that, but they can go out, like here in this section during the rest of that year, rest as in not the remainder, but rest as in relaxation of that land, to go up and pick what is naturally growing, right? Naturally growing on its own. So a question that came up was, right, well, then how are these people supposed to make any money during this time? How are they supposed to make any money? How are they supposed to eat? How are they supposed to do any of this? Does anybody have a sense? I mean, this question came up just this week when I was hanging out with some high school kids. How are they supposed to make any money? How are they supposed to eat? Nina, what do you think? You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, there were shepherds before, so now this is a transformation to become farmers. So they have to be taught, the land has to be cared for, just like they would care for the sheep.
And just like they got to care for themselves.
Absolutely. And it's a process. It's a transformation, as I said. And it doesn't happen in a day. And they have to learn that the land needs to be also rested. But today they do something else. They change the crops from year to year. So the land gets the nutrient from wherever it is that were the year before. And then the year to come with a different type of vegetation or whatever fruits, they can benefit out of what was left in the land from the prior crop. So there is all kind of things that people do today, but the idea was that they have to care for the land. And that's the relationship of making it a home.
Ah, this is interesting. This is beautiful. Caring for the land to make it, that's the relationship of making it a home. Beautiful. Natalie, what?
Yeah.
What do you want to share? Thank you, Penina. Beautiful. Natalie, go. You're muted. You're muted.
I was agreeing with Nina. I was just saying good.
Oh,
I was just agreeing.
That's good. It did, that reminded me of a joke I recently heard about Passover. So Moses comes out. It's a tangent, but it's worth it. Moses, right? He's out talking about being a shepherd. He's out in
Gideon.
He's out in the wilderness, and he comes upon the burning bush. And the burning bush, God speaks to him from the burning bush and says, "Go to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh to let my people go." And I was like, "All right, okay, I'll try, see what happens." So Moses goes, and he's talking to Pharaoh, and he says, "Pharaoh, God says, let my people go." And Pharaoh says, and Moses says, "Let my people go." What did Pharaoh do? "Let my people go." Over and over. This happened 10 times. Finally, on the 10th time, Pharaoh says, "Moses, you trying to say something? You're muted." No, not funny. I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny. He's muted. Pharaoh's on Zoom with Moses. He's mute. You guys don't know funny. You guys don't know funny. Okay, moving on. Sorry. Come on, it was beautiful. It was so funny. Okay, another thing that they say they did is they divided their land into sevenths, right? So they would, thank you, Phyllis and Warren, for the clap. I appreciate that. They would divide their land into sevenths. So that means a seventh of it was constantly resting. So it was like a progression, right? So they were still always able to, this is kind of like how they got around it, even though they were supposed to not be working in certain sections. But that's interesting. That's neither here nor there. Then it goes, okay, get ready for this. I'm going to share my screen. When we get to the 50th year, this is when a lot of interesting things start to happen right here. And why I'm asking about the difference between a house and a home, and making it as such. "Then you shall sound the horn loud, the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, the day of atonement. You shall have the horn sounded throughout your land, and you shall hallow the 50th year." Okay, so what are we saying? On Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, right, is the day that the Jubilee year begins, where we sound the horn, right? Which is interesting, because what is the purpose of Yom Kippur? What does Teshuva translate to, or Teshuva translate to when we talk about this? Penina.
Return. Return. And
beautiful.
Which brings me to a very important point. When they left Egypt, it wasn't their country. And the reason that they wind up in Egypt to begin with, it was because of a famine. And they were lacking the wheat. They went down there for wheat, not for sheep or whatever. So the reason for that exile was that famine. They went there to buy that wheat. Now they don't have to. They're learning how to grow everything for themselves. They don't need now to be shepherds to sustain themselves. They have options. And this is what now will keep them tied to the land. They won't have to go back to another country to buy more wheat.
So are you saying that they didn't grow wheat prior?
They were shepherds. The whole idea of the first thing that they were getting all those information, ki tavou el haaretz unetatem kol etz trila. The minute you come to the land, you have to start planting trees right away in the beginning, trila. Start planting. And that's one of the things that they were told to do.
So you're saying that none of those people, Jacob, his son, none of them were planted. They were only shepherds.
That we think that in the beginning, Cain and Hevel, one of them was one of them was a farmer, Hevel, and Cain was the shepherd or the hunter. And then when they did the offering to God, God actually accepted the fruit of the land. That's why Cain killed him, killed Abel. So the idea is that the connection with the land was very important for their sustenance, to be even free. They wouldn't have to go down to Egypt and take the chances of becoming slaves later on, if it wouldn't have happened for this famine.
All right, so check this out. Pnina told us that the translation of Teshuva, which we all have heard and we talk about at Yom Kippur, is return, right? Return. So let's hold on to that word. This is a really important word to what's coming up next. Let me share the screen again. Here we go. All right. So we're doing this on the Day of Atonement. Teshuva, right? Returning ourselves, returning our souls. Get ready. You shall sound in it, and you shall proclaim. Here it is. You shall proclaim release throughout the land for all its inhabitants.
Freedom.
It shall be a jubilee for you. Each of you shall return. Okay. Each of you shall return to his holding, and each of you shall return to his family. That 50th year shall be a jubilee year for you. You shall not sow, neither shall you reap the aftergrowth or the harvest or the untrimmed vines, for it is jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You may only eat of the growth direct from the field in this. Okay, get ready. Here it is. In this year of jubilee, each of you shall return to his holding. When you sell property to your neighbor or buy any from your neighbor, you shall not wrong one another, which means in buying from your neighbor, you shall deduct only for the number of years since the Jubilee. And in selling to you, he shall charge you only for the remaining crop years. The more such years, the higher the price you pay. The fewer such years, the lower price you pay. For what he is selling you is a number of harvests. Do not wrong one another, but fear your God, for I, the Lord, are your God. Okay. What is this saying about ownership? Land ownership. What is this saying about land ownership? Huh? Jeff.
The issue is that there is no land ownership other than God, and especially the land of Israel. That is his pristine and prime creation. And when the people befouled the land by their tumah, the land ejected them and ejects the Israelites later as the diaspora because of the same sins. So God is really the protector of the land. He was the creator of the land in the beginning, before man was even created. It was his prize production, so to speak. It was his real child. And the Israelites and people who lived in the land, the Canaanites, befouled the land, and the land ejects them. That's the words.
Wow.
Very good.
So this is so interesting. Okay, so like the land is a living thing in itself. That the land is the literal landlord. God is the Lord of the land, and the land is its own Lord, because really it's just a long-term lease. Nobody really gets to buy anything. It's like, for what? There are certain sections in Palm Springs that you can't, you don't actually own the land, but it's like a deed of 99-year kind of thing. And I think when buying property down in Mexico too, they don't sell you the land, it's like a lease. So what does this mean? When the lease is up, like we could be trading stuff. I'm gonna give you this, you're gonna give me that. I'm gonna take some of this land, I'm gonna lease it from you. But then what happens? After 49 years, in the 50 years, I gotta give it back. Everybody goes back to like the starting position. everybody goes back to the starting position. Pnina, what do you want to say?
Okay, the key sentence here is "Ukratem dror ba'aretz lechol yoshvea." You should declare freedom, not only in your land, but declare it to all over the world. The idea is that wars usually started because of it's territorial. And when they left, there were other people there. And it doesn't tell them to throw them out. In other words, while you were gone, if the land was worked by somebody else, a Canaanite or somebody, make a deal with them, get it back a fair way, or give it a time to get back to you in a fair way. But the whole idea is that because the people do not treat their own country right, and maybe there is a famine or a depression, or there is actually non-functional country. The idea is that they should learn from Israel and declare freedom throughout the world. France gave us a bell, and on the bell it's being written, "Ukratem dror ba'aretz lechol yoshvea." They should be freedom declared throughout the world.
If it's all, if everything's all fabulous and even, and, if it's all the same, and then you just want to start trading stuff, like, I'll give you 2 of these for 1 of that and whatnot. But then at the end of the day, everybody's going to go back to what they had in the beginning or what their families had back in the beginning. And now there's like proliferation of growth. And then where's everybody going to live? And then you got to start doing this whole business again. And I have to give you new money and nobody's giving me back my money. So I got to start all over again. It's sort of like, the way that Tel Aviv was divided up, Tel Aviv was divided up, right? It was not done randomly, but there were 2 shells. You had first you picked the order. There was one that had numbers, another one also had numbers for the plots of land. Like all of Tel Aviv was divided up into a grid, right? And then there was like 100 people who they were going to be picking. So all 100 numbers were put into a bag. You picked a number, and that was the order of where you were going to pick. So then when you got to that number, you got to pick out of the hat with the numbers of lots. So you get to pick out a plot of land. So you could be the first one, but you pick out a plot of land that's like over in, I don't know, Shapira or something like that. That's like, I don't know, not the greatest area, but maybe you're going to be number 79, but you're going to pick a piece of land that's right there on the beach. But then how do you trade? And then you have to give it back? I don't know. It sounds like very utopian. Like what you said, Pina, to put that under, yeah, that's great. If it's all equal to begin with. Merle.
So there's a lot of places.
And then Miriam.
There's a lot of places here in Scottsdale that are the same concept, leased land. You may buy a house or a condo, or even Scottsdale Community College, where it's the land is 100-year lease. But rarely, we've been here 45 years. Rarely have we seen anyone have to give up and not get to be part of the next lease unless they happen to sell their house or condo. Community college isn't selling anything. They keep building it. And it's the Indian reservation, and they keep giving them more land. And they, the 99-year lease keeps expanding to another 99 years.
But that's only on a matter of like trust that's going to happen. There's no legal obligation to continue that lease. So you do not own, it's not yours.
You have to pray that the person or the group that owns that piece of land is going to be kind to you and let you grow on it or live on it or go to school, whatever. You have to hope that they don't just suddenly say, we want our land back, the college is closing. It's a big guess.
That's a big guess. That's a big guess.
It's I don't know, it would be kind of frustrating to me if I lived in it, worrying about what happens.
That's a lot of stress.
Right.
It's a lot of stress.
Well,
Jeff.
Sorry,
Miriam. Sorry, I apologize. No, Miriam first. I said it was Miriam. I'm going to go Miriam, Jeff, Pnina.
Okay.
Rabbi, is this the place?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, Miriam. Say it again.
Is this the exact sentence where on the Liberty Bell they say, proclaim liberty throughout the land. They don't say declare freedom. They say proclaim liberty.
I'm so sorry, Miriam, but your mic is cutting in and out. Is that just for me? Is that everybody else as well? Yeah. Sorry. Do you want maybe put it in the chat?
No, I just want you to know, can you hear me? I'm screaming. I just want you to know if this is the place that says proclaim liberty throughout the land. On the Liberty Bell, is it this particular sentence?
On the Liberty Bell, is this the saying that's on the Liberty Bell?
Yes, thou
Nina
shalt
is saying
declare
yes.
freedom throughout the world.
It says proclaim liberty throughout the land.
Oh, Miriam, I'm so sorry. Your mic is going in and out, and I know you and you've got something so good to say. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh man. All right, Jeff, go, Jeff, and then Nina.
Ultimately, the principle that you have to respect, whether it's 7 years, whether it's 50 years, is that it's an effort to reestablish equality. No dynasties, no tremendous landowners, no alteration of status where the strong overpower the weak. The land is redistributed according to the equality of the ancestors who came from Egypt into the land of Israel. And supposedly only those Israelites that actually went through the Exodus and arrived in the land of Canaan could own land. And that was obviously altered over the centuries, but the idea is there has to be some element of balance and evening out of privilege. I don't think it's worked yet, unfortunately, in any country, but it's certainly an ideal to strive for. And if there's anything that the Torah tries to give us is ideals to live by. So
Beautiful.
It's
I
a
love it.
tough one. Because
Go,
people
Pnina,
are people.
go. Perfect,
Okay,
Jeff. Thank
so,
you. Pnina, go.
What Jeff said is very good, very right. I agree. It's something to strive for. And now I forgot already what I was going to say.
Lo nachon.
I love you, Pnina. Thank you for the support.
Okay, you're welcome. Oh yeah, I wanted to say
yeah.
that Tel Aviv
All
today
of a sudden.
is the Silicon Valley
Yeah.
of Israel, by the way.
Yes.
Yes,
Very important.
yes.
Unwise.
That's what
Here
I
we go.
Pharmaceuticals.
All right, check this out right here. We're going to move on. So what does this say? These is the two very interesting points right here. But the land must not be sold beyond reclaim, for the land is mine. You are but strangers, resident with me. So right now, so God's calling these people, they're strangers. You're strangers. You don't really have a home. You don't really have a home. This is my house. Let's not forget whose house this is. Right? It's like when my kids say to me, don't come into my room. What do you mean your room? That's not you. It's my house. I pay for this house. You can come into my room. I'm giving you this room, but this is really my room, so I get to come in there if I want. Or when my daughter says to me, you can't check my phone. Of course I could check your messages on your phone. That's not really your phone. That's my phone. I'm just looking. You want his phone? You got to listen. That's nice. So you are a stranger to this phone. It's not really this phone.
There's a
Or
receipt.
in this, it's not really, any of this is not, like Jeff said, like we're saying and Pnina said, so many wars go on territory. It's not your land. It's God's. You got to constantly go back to the beginning. Go, Merle. What do you want to say?
You have to respect the land. I think that's a big piece of it. If you don't respect the land and what God has provided for you, then God may take it away from you.
Oh, well, okay. That's interesting. That's coming up in a little bit. That's coming up.
I'm sorry. I did not read in advance.
No, why? No sorries. I love that. Don't say sorry. I love that. That's beautiful. But look at this next line over here. Look at this next line. For it is to me that the Israelites are servants, avadim, slaves, servants. They are my servants, whom I freed from the land of Egypt, I, the Lord, your God. Ki libnei Israel avadim, right? Here we are, we're back again. We talked about this a few times before, I remember. Now it's saying servants rather than worshipers. Now it's the same word, slave, servant, worshiper. So it's almost like, all right, God is, we're not really these truly free people to own land or to have possessions. No. What I'm giving you is mine. I'm giving it on loan. And you're not really free. If you want what I'm giving you, you have to follow certain rules, right? You don't just get it for the sake of getting it. Honey, you want this phone? My daughter, there's certain rules you got to follow. I'm not just giving you to do whatever. You want to be part in this app? You have to empty the dishwasher and help load it in because you have job as part of this family. What's going on over here?
Rabbi?
Hi, Doug. Doug Lynn is here. He's our associate executive director and Doug's mom.
It's his
I'm teaching Torah
birthday.
study right now. It's Doug's birthday today is correct. Happy birthday. Very nice to meet you. Welcome. Happy birthday, Doug, birthday boy. Doug, he didn't know that we were in the middle of a class. I'm sorry, but his mom is in town visiting, so he wanted me to say hello. Anyway, so this is interesting, right? That here we go again. We're really just at the whim of God here, because now it's getting into something. We're about to move into this Bechukotai over here now. Start moving up. This is getting a little crazy. Get ready. This first part is quite lovely. You shall not make idols for yourself or set up for yourselves carved images or pillars or place figured stone in your land to worship upon, for I, the Lord, am your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and venerate my sanctuary, mine, the Lord's. Okay, fabulous. Check out what happens here from line 3 to 13. This is lovely. Line 3 to 13, lovely stuff. If you follow my laws and faithfully observe my commandments, I will grant your rains in the season, so that the earth shall yield its produce and the trees of the field their fruit. Your threshing shall overtake the vintage, and your vintage shall overtake the sowing. You shall eat your fill of the bread and dwell securely in your land. I will grant you peace in the land, and you shall lie down untroubled by anyone. I will give you the land, respite from vicious beasts, and no sword shall cross your land. You shall give chase to your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall give chase to 100, and 100 you shall give chase to 10,000. Your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. I will look with favor upon you and make you fertile and multiply you, and I will maintain my covenant with you. You shall eat old grain long stored, and you shall have to clear out the old, make room for the new. I will establish my abode in your midst, and I will not spurn you. I'll even present you in your midst. I will be your God, and you shall be my people. I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of the Egyptians to their slaves no more, to be their slaves no more, who broke the bars of your yoke and made you walk correct. 3 to 13, lines 3 to 13. Beautiful. What is it saying here? Who can just sum that up for us? What's it saying? Real quick, sum it up. Nina, sum it up. You're muted. Just like Moses to Pharaoh, you're muted.
Okay. It gives them pride. He says the new faith, that you're not going to worship the land as an idol or idols. In the end, you get not just freedom, but you get pride of who you are. So you're
very beautiful. All of this beautiful stuff. This is so you see where I'm going with this, right? This is so beautiful. If you follow me, I'm gonna get you. It's gonna be the best life ever. Natalie, what do you want to say? I'm gonna go Natalie, Merle, then Jeff.
But then, as other parts in the Torah, but then, if you do not listen to me, watch out. There's going to be a lot of punishment to you. Right?
Oh, Natalie.
It's
Oh, you'll see. Give
Yeah.
me yes. Go, Merle, and then Jeff.
By taking pride in what you're doing, you're showing respect and you're showing love for what's been given to you.
Mhm.
Even if
From lines
even if you don't own it, you're still taking care of it.
from lines 3 to 13. Yes.
But-
What is
but-
that? That's 11. Go, Natalie.
but
Yeah.
the
Then
way
Jeff.
I read, the way I read it is,
Oh,
I'm giving this to you. But remember, I am in control.
yeah.
I am like a parent who is watching every second what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
You don't follow my rules. What follows to me is there's going to be punishment.
Oh boy.
I
Okay,
don't know
Jeff,
if you
go.
agree with that.
Well, we'll see. It's not that I don't agree. I do agree. Well, yeah. Even though in my house, I know this is going to be recorded, so everybody will know that in my house, I'm looked at as the pushover, the guy who's the pushover in my house.
What this really is
Anyway,
doing
go, Jeff. Yes.
is giving you the actual outline of the contract with God. In
Okay.
other words, the covenant has binding clauses, and the covenant requires mutual achievement and attainment of certain goals. And throughout this story, you see the goals being outlined: the ability to use the land, the ability to deal with each other in a social setting. This is part of the covenantal requirements of a contract in order to be God's people.
Okay.
Initially, it's not stated, but all the rest of this is really an outline for what's necessary to maintain that relationship with God.
Okay. Yes. And now what happens? Lines 3 to 13. If you do this, everything's going to be great. But now, line 14 to 44. 3 times as many lines. 3 times as many lines. Where God just rips into them. If you don't follow, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna bring you to the edge of destruction. But if you do not obey me and do not observe it, if you reject my laws and spurn my rules, so that you do not observe all of my commandments and you will break my, I in turn will do this to you. I will wreak misery upon you, consumption and fever, which causes the eyes to pine and the body to languish. You shall sow your seed to no purpose, for your enemies shall eat it. I will set my face against you. You shall be routed by your enemies, and your foes shall dominate you. It just goes on and on and on. I will loose wild beasts against you, and they shall bereave you of your children and wipe out your cattle. They shall decimate you. I mean, look at this. It just goes on and on and on and on. And despite this, you still disobey me. My wrathful hostility. And it goes on. And I will lay your cities in ruin and make your sanctuaries desolate. On and on and on and on and on. It just goes for more than 30 lines. 30 lines. I mean, come on. Seriously? 30 lines it goes. Here's the question. Why? Why does it have to be 3 times as bad? Why does it have to, in the negative versus positive? Can it just be in the positive, or at least equal, or maybe 3 times positive, 1 time negative? Why does it have to be such vicious language? Merle, you have an idea?
I'm going back to my farmer friend. His farmland, which is quite large, is on Indian reservation property that the reservation gives to him, because it's not property land that they can use. Ken's philosophy is, I have to give back to them because they're giving me the land and they don't expect anything from me other than taking care of their land. So he teaches classes to the Native Americans on how to farm. how to do clean organic farming, how to not use chemicals and pesticides or whatever. But I think the statement here says you don't just get the land. There's something that you need to do from your own head. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you need to think about, and again, it goes back to the respect of what's being given to you.
Yeah,
Whether
but
it's by
again, why
God or
such
some-
negative language? Why so vicious and mean?
because
Why 3 times as many?
the only thing I can think of is that God has seen them not respect him, and that him being, that's what God was then. And if he doesn't threaten them, unfortunately, they won't necessarily appreciate what he's giving them.
Oh man, but that's like, in parenting, is that how I really want to,
No.
want to raise my, I know. But sometimes
But
I feel like the only thing my kids are going to respond to is if I take something away from them. And it's like, come on, I give you all these other opportunities. It's nice, but why you got,
But that's what I'm saying, is that why do we have to threaten, whether it's our children, grandchildren, or why do we have to be threatened and not be given the opportunity to do the right thing?
All right, I'm going to go.
What happens?
I'm going to go Jeff, Natalie, Pnina.
Unfortunately, what you're seeing is true human psychology. That we are recidivist in our faults, and we tend to repeat them over and over again. And if there's one thing that God knows about psychology, it's how to obtain his ends through appropriate manipulation. And unfortunately, there's always been the stick. When the people have erred, there's always been the stick.
Which is going to last longer? That is my question. Which is going to, if you follow a certain path, which will last longer? And here's my thing. Here, get ready for this. Okay, sorry. Go Natalie, go Pnina, and then I got my point. Because this is an interesting point, and I was inspired by a picture behind Jeff with my point. Go ahead, Natalie, then
you
Pnina.
have to remember when this was written, how do you get a group of people to listen to you? They don't see you, they don't feel you. They're not like a symbol that it was comfortable to look at. How would you possibly get people to pay attention to you unless there was a lot of fear involved? When you think about the really Orthodox Jews, which we are not, they fear God. There is no question about it. They have to follow the rules. If they start their dinner 2 minutes later when the sun goes down, my grandmother, who wasn't really, really Orthodox, would say, oh, you put the fleisha in, the meat spoon in the dairy place. In a way, she would say, oh, you're going to get a sin. Please don't do that again. What does that mean? You're going to get a sin. There is no control, real control over masses of people unless there's fear behind it. We have now evolved to, this is why I believe we have evolved now to, be kind, be nice, be sweet. Don't let that person get a little neuroses. Give every child a award in the whatever they're doing. They play baseball. Everyone gets an award at the end. No one should feel badly. And yet today's generation's kids leave their parents. They don't respect their parents. They are into themselves. It's, one extreme to the other. And I just know that for myself and every person my age who's been a friend, we respected our parents. I happen to love mine, but many who did not approve, they respected them. There was none of this answering back. I mean, what's going on today is really dreadful in a lot of homes. So,
Natalie, you want to come over my house for dinner?
I come over anytime to your house for dinner.
Need some help.
Try to get it to fall on ears and listen.
We've gone way too far in being just and fair and this and that. And we're talking about the beginning of a people who you have to put fear into them, or they're not going to listen to you.
Wow.
Truth. That's the bottom line. I don't want to go on anymore, but I used to teach in the very difficult Black areas of Washington, D.C. And what went on in those classrooms, you wouldn't believe, all right? So the teachers who had the control, the way you see in the Torah here, with fear, you don't sit in your seat, you answer me back, whatever they had promised to do. Those children were paying attention and they learned. In other classrooms where everyone wanted to be sweet and nice, there was nothing but chaos. That's it. So,
wow. Thank you, Natalie. Pnina, go.
Okay.
Thank you, Natalie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
we
you,
can
Natalie.
hear you.
What you said, Natalie, what you said is very true. And the reason that he keeps on harping on all the bad that he's going to do to them, he has to remind them that when they came out of Egypt, what made them actually free? 10 plagues. The 10 plagues that the Egyptian got. That was a disaster. That was really bad punishment.
Right.
So now he's reminding them, you see, you want to go back to what was before, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go back to the rules of bad people who is going to turn you into slaves and blah, blah, blah. So don't do that. And remember what I did in Egypt. I gave him those 10 plagues. If you forgot, you're going to get reminded because it's going to happen to you again. In your own.
What's going to stick? What's going to stick? Right? That's the thing. Not
What
stick
is
like
gonna
stick, but what is it? Like, so I see this picture behind Jeff's golf on it. So let me ask you this question. Same, potentially the same result, but what's the difference between saying hit it on the green, I'm going to hit it on the green, I'm going to hit it on the green, or if I'm at that tee box, I'm going to hit on the green, versus don't hit it in the sand, don't hit it in the sand, don't hit it in the sand.
Right.
Same result, you're hoping for the same result, but your language is different, right? And which one is going to eventually stick, right? The one where you say hit it on the green in the positive language. It's like at the pool, we say to the kids now, you're not supposed to say don't run. You're supposed to say walk, please, walk, please. And you're not supposed to say don't run, no running, no running. You're supposed to say walk, please, walk. And right, there was a study done about smokers and quitting smoking. The ones who said, I want to quit smoking because I don't want to die, versus I want to quit smoking because I want to live. The ones who said, I want to quit smoking because I want to live, the much, much higher percentage who didn't relapse into smoking. Why? The study says it's because of the language that they used with themselves, the positive reinforcement rather than the negative reinforcement. That being said, Natalie, you make a really great point. This has got to just continue. You got to put the fear in these people otherwise they're not going to listen. But where do you get to that point of, okay, I'm going to try and make a balance of putting the fear versus using the positive language, putting the fear, because really what does God say at the end of all of this, after 30 lines, says, but I still love you. I still love you, right? I will remember in their favor the covenant with the ancients whom I freed from the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations to be their God. There are the laws and rules and instructions that the Lord established through Moses and Mount Sinai between himself and the Israelite people. It says that even after all of this I do to you, I still love you. I'm not going to, I'm going to remember, right? Just like the parents, it says, yes, I'm punishing you. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, punishing you like this. I still love you. Right? I don't know. Jeff.
Hard to follow that comment, seriously. We've been through fatherhood and motherhood, and we're looking back on the comments that you're making, and we laugh a little bit because you think you're in control. And you are definitely confused.
I am not confused. I know for sure that,
You have no control whatsoever. You just purely luck is going to get you through, just like the
It's
rest
hope,
of us.
not luck.
May that luck rain down on me from the heavens above, because Lord knows I need it. Right?
We all do. You can pray for that during Shabbat.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, Tov. All right. With that, we're going to end just a little early today. I'm going to do some filming for our nursery school, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, I don't know if any of you have seen any of our things that we're doing. So we're going to film about, the making of challah. We've done 2 other videos. One, the making of grape juice. Our first one was done the making of candles. Then we did the making of grape juice. Now we're doing the making of challah. It's
It's
very
all
exciting.
amazing. Everything.
Check it
that
out
we've
on
seen.
our website. It's called Shabbat Shalom Hey. It's also on the YouTube page. It's also on Facebook. Shabbat Shalom Hey. It's with Cantor Lisa, Rabbi Joel, myself, and then a woman by the name of Taylor, who's one of the associate directors of the nursery school. Regardless, it's a lot of fun.
It's
Anyway,
great.
wonderful to see everybody. I give you a
Thank
big
you.
Shabbat Shalom. Very
Shabbat
lovely, very
Shalom.
lively. Natalie, I kind of think I need you to come over to my house to crack the whip a little bit. And my wife makes a mean challah and really yummy food. So we'll go from there. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
תודה רבה, thank you.
תודה רבה לכם.
Thank you, Rabbi. Yeah. Yeah.